call this meeting of the Howell Township Council to order. Diane?
This meeting is being held in accordance with Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, Open Public Meetings Act. Adequate notice has been provided in the manner prescribed by law. This agenda is complete to the extent known, and formal action will be taken. I'll begin with a roll call. Councilwoman Fisher?
Here.
Councilman Nadell?
Here.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Gager?
Here.
Mayor Leggio?
Here.
Thank you.
Resolution 25-84. Manager, is there any reason to go into executive session, sir?
Yes, there is, Mr. Mayor. We have several matters, including litigation, ordinance drafting, and some general ordinance materials.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 25-84.
Second?
Councilwoman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gager?
Yes.
Mayor Leggio?
Yes.
Thank you.
Reconvene meeting?
I'll begin with a roll call. Councilwoman Fisher?
Here.
Councilman Nadell?
Here.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Gager?
Here.
Mayor Leggio?
Here.
Thank you.
I'd like everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Proclamation honoring Paul Sayre this evening. Ready? Want to go down? Everybody?
Yeah, we're good now.
Paul's here, right? Is Paul here?
He's right there. How are things in Ireland?
Oh, I love it. Mayor, how are you, sir? It's all good.
Presenting this plaque to Paul Sayre. So from the Township of Howell, an appreciation presented to Paul Sayre for distinguished service as Chair of the Zoning Board of Adjustment from 2022 through 2024, in recognition of years of dedicated services on various township boards, committees, and commissions from 2003 through 2024, presented by the governing body of the Township of Howell. Just want to say how much Paul has done. I know he served on the Shade Tree Commission, Planning Board, Zoning Board, and moved out of Howell after he resigned as chair of the zoning board. We miss having you here. I know you also served as the president of the Republican Club. And when I got involved in politics, Paul was one of the first people I met. I got to know him, some of his family members, and just what a great guy he is. So just thank you for everything you've done for the town.
Yeah, I want to say something. Boy, did we hate to see you go, let me tell you. Piggybacking off what Ian says, I think I probably talked to Paul multiple times a week, and if there was anyone who educated me on our land use laws and our zoning and our master plan, it was Paul. Or anytime I wanted to pick somebody's brain about something and I knew that I would get an educated guess, it was Paul. So not too long ago, we went to an event for the Monmouth 250, and I happened to be sitting next to somebody on the council from the Highlands, where Paul has moved to. And I said to her, I said, our head of our zoning board just moved here. She goes, "Yes, Paul, he's my neighbor. We've already appointed him to something." So he's already involved over there. So, Paul, I wish you all the best, and I'm sure we're going to still be talking.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you.
Before you speak, Paul, and I hope you will. The only thing that I could possibly add about Paul Saya and his family, various times in the past 15 years, I've wanted to do something politically or tied into different things in the township. And the first person I typically talk to is Paul Saya, because he always comes from a place of a moral compass. He has a good judgment. He's not selfish. And he puts this town first, sometimes to his own detriment, often to his own detriment. But I will say he's a fine, fine gentleman, and I'm proud to say he's a friend.
Here, here.
Of course. First off, thank you so much. I'm very grateful for this recognition. You know, 2003, Broadcast Media Advisory Committee, right? Joe DeBella, mayor, appointed that committee, and I took charge, and we did the franchise fee with Optimum. And one of the first accomplishments was getting the schools wired with internet and so forth. And so from that point on, it just started to roll, and, you know, getting involved and helping and making things better for Howell. I had the greater benefit of Javi Morrell, Noreen Kelly, Warren Curry, you know, some of the best that have been in Howell for many, many, many years, as you all know. And they took me under their wing when I was a younger person, 30 years ago, and just educated me and taught me about Howell and what Howell was all about and so forth. So I've been able to share that with everyone from time to time, because there's a lot of history here. And I'm just so happy that, you know, I've seen this town grow, but smart growth. You know, whether it was John Costigan that got our 2 cents for open space on a referendum, where Mr. Phil Sanfilippo was helping with that as well, to just other things that we've done here with regards to our CFMP. You know, we are in our 5th term, I believe, one of the top towns in the state when it comes to the top tier of how many years we stayed on top of the shade tree and the certified tree, you know, plan and so forth. So those things were very important. Another thing that I enjoyed so much was after broadcast media and we got on the zoning board, although it wasn't popular, it was the cell phone towers that started to light up the schools. Our kids were able to get their cell phones. They were able to communicate with their parents and so forth. I thought that was very important. So the fireplace houses that we had in town, that property became, you know, very valuable to us so that we can get communications up and running for the safety of the town. You know, other than that, you know, we have a top police force, you know, can't do it without them. I love that they, you know, keep us safe here in Howell. And of course, our emergency services and, you know, everyone else who contributes as a volunteer here in Howell. And I believe that, you know, just being here is still indicative of how good Howell is, because you do recognize your volunteers and appreciate them. So with that, I thank you once again, and, you know, hopefully, you know, there'll be many more years to come.
Ann, we'll get Ann in the picture. Go. How are you?
Okay.
Green team.
Lisa down.
Yeah.
Oh, you're on
Right. Next, we have Green Team Proclamation, which will be read by Lisa Dowd.
Hello. Hi. Hi, everybody. So the proclamation by the governing body of Howell Township in continued support of the Howell Township Green Team, whereas the Howell Township Green Team was created to advise the governing body on ways to improve municipal operations with green initiatives, which make practical environmental and financial sense, and whereas the Howell Township Council strives to save dollars, assure clean air, land, and water, improve the quality of life, and build a community that is sustainable economically, environmentally, and socially, a community which would thrive well into the future. And whereas a sustainable community seeks to optimize quality of life for its residents by ensuring that its environmental, economic, and social objectives are balanced and mutually supportive. And whereas the Howell Township Green Team has the continued support of the governing body to continue its mission to preserve and enhance Howell Township's environment for all citizens. Now therefore, the governing body of the body of the Township of Howell does hereby proclaim their continued support of the Howell Green Team. And I just wanted to thank everybody for your support. We are in a recertification year, so there are a lot of materials that we need to submit by February 23rd. So I just want to, thank everybody at the town for helping us out. I know we've made a lot of requests, so I appreciate everybody's time in helping to get that information together for us. And thank you to the council for supporting us and our initiatives, and we look forward to another great year of projects and green initiatives. So thank you.
Lisa, I just want to say, for the year I served on the Green Team, I had no idea that the Green Team was involved in the things they were in. If it wasn't Larry with the composting or the electric vehicles, it was the Sustainable New Jersey and the awards. I had no idea. So the amount of work you do, I mean, we all appreciate it. We do. Thank you.
Thank you, and we appreciate everybody's support. I mean, I know it's a bit of a learning curve, understanding how we work with Sustainable Jersey and all of the initiatives that they give us to complete. So, and just to kind of outline it for everybody, we do a recertification every 3 years. Our last certification, we went from bronze to silver, which means we had an additional 150 points from our previous certification. So this year, we're going for another silver certification, which will make us, I think, one of 28 communities in the state that is actually silver certified. So.
And as far as the gold goes, what's there, 2, 3?
For gold, so there's actually not a gold certification, there's a gold star, and those are available in water, health, and energy. There are, I believe, 3 towns that actually have gold stars, and that's one of our initiatives for our next recertification, is to get a gold star in water. So we'll have the team working on that after we get through this recertification.
We're here,
So, no,
thank you.
we appreciate everybody's help. Thank you.
If I, Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
I think one of the things that I would just like to remind Lisa, years ago when we did the sapling giveaway, we would meet at the DPW garage early in the morning, and if you wore gloves, that would be great, but in like 2 minutes they were drenched, so you took them off. It was so cold putting these bundles together that by the time, you're about a half an hour by, you're like this, like a bad movie. I will say that they have found a way to do the tree giveaway where they still do it at the DPW garage, but it's in a much more humane fashion, faster, neater, and I think that the public enjoys coming and they get an actual little mini series of an education about the trees, where to plant them, how well they grow, which ones sort of go with another one, and that type of thing. And I will say that there's an old-time family that lives on the bend of Brickyard near Earl. And every year, this woman comes for saplings. So maybe 10, 12 years ago, she said to me, well, last year's died, so they weren't very good. So I said, well, let's find out what you did. I stopped by her house and I saw what she did. You know, they were practically planted in like a little pool. But as the years went by, she now has trees that are 8, 10, some of them 15 foot tall. And she has like a little mini forest back there. And she's in her late 80s now, and she is still planting these trees. So when I look, and maybe it's a silly thing, it's one person, 1 yard, and maybe too many trees in her yard, but the important thing is that this really means something to people. They see the growth, they see the value of the tree, and I mean, I'm still talking about her after probably 35 years now in her garden, but it's just so important when you see people expound what they're doing in their yard. So, you know, you learn a little from everybody, but I will say that the new way of coupling the tree saplings, here, Lisa, you have reinvented the wheel on that one. Thank you.
Good. All right. Reports of township officials.
Okay, so
Mr. Clark?
I have a few. First, we had a meeting of the Monmouth 250 initiative here today with the county. It is the county's sort of broad-based recognition of our semi-quincentennial, our 250th birthday. So there's going to be a lot of events going on here, including here in Howell. So keep an eye on the space because we're going to be looking for ideas from people and participation. So that's going to be coming up over the next couple of years, in fact. Tonight, I wanted to give a shout out to Maria and Tony Chiaravino. They live on Aldrich Road. They reached out to the PD, myself, and some other township officials about doing targeted enforcement for speeding. They were particularly convincing to us, given some of the issues that they had on Aldrich. So tonight, we are introducing that resolution. So we've got a few different streets, and we're going to rotate them throughout the year to help curb speeding. It's far and away the biggest complaint we get here by a wide margin. So we heard you, and we're working with you on it. Intersections, another common complaint. So I have an update from our engineer, Justin Yost. So at Ford and Kent, our consultant has completed a study and is recommending converting the intersection to a four-way stop, given the accident history and lack of available right-of-way for vegetation removal. So we'll be talking more to the consultants and to council about that. At Oak Glen and Randolph, we've authorized a consultant for traffic counts and conceptual plans. And then at Maxim Southern in Oak Glen, the consultant completed the study and recommends tree clearing and signage as a first phase. We'll see how that goes, and then we will follow up if need be. And then just following up on something from the last meeting regarding one of our lawsuits. I'm not going to go into detail about the facts of the lawsuit itself, but I will note, this is something that we've shared with the council, that the County Agricultural Development Board has filed a motion to intervene in our appeal, and they are siding with the township in terms of exhausting remedies with the township prior to going to the Ag Board. So they also are of the mindset that primary jurisdiction should be with the town. So we'll keep everybody posted.
One quick update also from engineering. The township's been working with a CDBG grant for the demolition of structures on township property. Contractor just in the last couple of days has substantially completed the project. That includes a storage building at the community garden property on Adelphia Road, a dwelling and accessory structures on a property Route 33. If you've been on that road east of Colts Neck Road, you've probably seen through the trees a very beat up looking house. That's been taken down, as well as the outbuildings. Also dwelling and debris on Lakewood Farmingdale Road, just south of Birdsall Road, same idea. These were properties that the township acquired through tax sale and foreclosure. So we're cleaning them up, and then also the chicken coop and dwelling at Bear Swamp on Maxim Road has been demolished, and that's about a decade overdue, so that's a big one. That's all I have.
Only update that I have is we have an old Oprah litigation case that was pending back from, I want to say it was 2020 or 2022. It's been sitting for a while. The town had denied access to a body cam video based upon privacy reasons. The court upheld our decision and dismissed the case. They thought the privacy interest in the body cam video weighed heavily in the township's favor and thought the decision not to release it was just, so that matter's been dismissed and is concluded.
That's it. I'd like to open the floor for hearings of the citizens. Public comments?
Each person shall first give their name and address to the clerk. The council should be addressed as a collective body and not as individual members. Each person shall have one turn to address the council, and comments shall not exceed a total of 5 minutes. Speakers shall be notified when their time has run, and no time extensions shall be permitted.
Mr. Pilecki?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Mark Pilecki, 35 Oriole Lane in Howell. I'm sure you know me. Couple things. Just looking at the proposed ordinance adoption for the salary ordinance, I just want to put my 2 cents in and say there's a couple of departments there or people there that are very high amount of money there, $290,000, $245,000. And I believe last year this ordinance was changed in the last year or so to like went from 270, which I think was last year. Now it's going up to 290. I can't understand that. It's kind of high. Just my 2 cents. Number 2, we have a captain here, Captain Thomas Rizzo, which I think everybody knows. He's a motivational speaker. He's recognized throughout the country. About 2 weeks ago, he received a national award from the National Police Foundation for a Founders Award. And he's been very positive in the law enforcement field. This is going 2 weeks now. Haven't seen anything on the township or the Howell Township Police page to recognize his accomplishments. Whether you like the guy or not, all right, recognize him for the accomplishments that he did. He brought credit to this town through that name and through that award, and I think he should be given his just due. A couple other things. Social media has been a big part of my life. It's been a big part of yours probably. In my experience, in my past experience, social media was used as an advantage to this town. All right. For example, the police social page used to put out daily road closures and items of general interest and pertinent interest in emergencies. What's going on? There's a fire here. Please avoid the area. These roads are closed every day, so people can look on that thing before going to work instead of finding out when they make a turn onto Aldrich Road that the road is closed. And I realized that there was something on the township page about the Aldrich Road being closed due to water, but this used to be done every day. There's no reason why it can't not be done every day. Streetlights in the town. Police department has historically made a sweep of the town on a periodic basis to check all these streetlights. The ones that are out are reported to JCP&L. We pay for the streetlights, whether they're working or not. All right, I believe the township does. And over the past year, I still see some streetlights being out, all right, that have been out for about a year. They're not being taken care of. We pay for this. I think we should be doing something about it. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mark. Mr. Friedman?
Good evening. Dr. Steve Friedman, 42 East Shenandoah Road, Howell. As the president of the Howell Chamber of Commerce, I am here this evening to thank the town council and other township employees for always being there supporting what our members are in need of from the township. You guys have been awesome along the way. Namely, last year, putting out 2,000 copies of a Howell Township Business Directory and Community Guide, which you guys have, of course, gone ahead and supported us once again. So I'm here to say thank you again for the support in getting that out there to the town on behalf of the business community. Secondly, want to also recognize the effort you guys put forward in getting out and talking to the business community, as well as the employees here of the town who were able to come out back on January 7th at Jives Cafe, where we had a lively discussion, to say the least. But one of our members did bring up the point at the time about the traffic patterns on Aldrich Road, which Mr. Clark has recognized and is addressing. So on behalf of the membership of the Chamber of Commerce, we do appreciate the response and the quick response of addressing those issues. Lastly, as Mr. Clark also mentioned earlier, today we were visited by Tom Arnone, Christine Hanlon, and Ted Maturo from the Monmouth 250 committee, addressing the I forget how we said that.
I think it's semi-quincentennial.
What he said. 250th anniversary of the founding of our great country, and that is in a year and a half. So Monmouth County is, of course, going ahead strong based on our rich history here in the county, and the business community of Howell Township is definitely in support of whatever the council deems necessary from the business community to help you guys achieve the recognition that Howell deserves in being part of the celebration that Monmouth's going to put forward for this great anniversary of our country. But again, thank you very much, and you guys are doing a great job. Good night.
Okay. Mrs. Gimbel?
Short. Hi, everybody. Betty Velez Gimbel, 97 Victory Road. I am here tonight to speak about Victory Road and the warehouse. For those, just give me some patience while I just do a little recap. The location of Victory Road, for those who don't know, are approximately 1 mile south from Soldier Memorial on Route 547. As we are all aware, the applicant, Active Acquisitions, has filed to appeal the planning board's unanimous decision to deny the over 200,000 square foot warehouse, 25 tractor trailer loading docks, 35 trailer parking spaces, 72 passenger vehicles, 24/7 operation, and up to 4 tenants that would be unknown. The planning board unanimously denied the application due to the significant impact to the public health and safety. The environmental committee opposed clear-cutting the land for solar because the negative impact to the environment and residents outweighed the potential benefit to the developer. Victory Road residents, including myself, spent over $94,000 on attorneys and experts to oppose this warehouse. Our team provided an incredible amount of testimony regarding the faulty stormwater management plan that not only threatened the health and safety of the public, but also discussed the significant impact on the wetlands designated as an exceptional resource because of the identification of threatened and endangered species. Our attorneys further argued the traffic safety concerns of tractor trailers traversing the S-curve and intersection of 547 and Victory Road. The residents argued the applicant's inability to prevent trucks from traveling west to pick up Route 9, They voiced safety concerns, financial hardship to those residents who would be required to hook up to the water main. And of course, they echoed our legal team and experts. Last year, council voted to rezone the Victory Road warehouse property from industrial to residential. You agreed with the need for balance and to preserve the rural character of Howell. Some of you also publicly expressed your opposition to this warehouse project, and for this, we are greatly thankful. You are not alone, as this warehouse project grabbed the attention of others outside of Howell. Last year, the Monmouth Conservation Foundation expressed an interest in partnering with the township and county to preserve the property. I am here tonight to share additional information with you that is of great importance. We reached out to the Sierra Club via an online form last year for assistance. The Sierra Club is one of the largest environmental organizations in the country, with many chapters in many states. I learned of their interest in December of '24 from our attorney. They requested all of the information, which we gladly provided. In the past week, I have been in contact with Chris Hitchcock of the New Jersey chapter. He stated that our experts did an excellent, incredible job and informed me that the Sierra Club is interested in providing a litigator pro bono to assist the township in its denial. I was so excited. We all were. He informed me that he reached out to Mr. Cucchiaro, the planning board attorney, about 3 weeks ago via email and phone and had not received a reply. In an effort to facilitate the process, I asked our attorney to reach out to Mr. Cucchiaro to make the connection. This move proved successful. However, to my surprise, the township attorney refused the free help from the Sierra Club. Why wouldn't the planning board want the Sierra Club to help? I am sharing this information with all of you, but more specifically, Mayor Leggio and Councilman Ian Nadell, because you serve on the planning board. I truly believe you all stand with Victory Road residents and want the planning board to defend their denial of this project. I urge you to welcome the Sierra Club's participation in this litigation, which comes at no cost to the taxpayer. With their help, you can stand strong in defense of the health, safety, and welfare of our community and the environment. I'm sorry, Diane, but Diane, right? I'm going to give you a few pieces of paper to give to, I made enough, and I also have 2 binders, one for Mayor Leggio and one for Councilman Nadell. Please don't be jealous. It's just because they're on the planning board, and I wanted to give them a copy of the resolution. In the future, I'm sure I will give you all a binder at some point on other subjects. Appreciate it. I haven't put your name on. So this is just a little bit about the Sierra Club for everyone, and then Mayor Leggio has his own. So I made enough copies for everyone. All right, thanks. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. White?
Good evening, members of the council, township professionals, and my fellow citizens. My name's Lawrence White. I reside at 15 Wren Way. There's a few things I wanted to talk about tonight, but I only got 5 minutes. So I must speak about Resolution 25-81, the Sanctuary City Resolution. May I remind the council that being in this country illegally is a civil, not a criminal offense. Many of these undocumented immigrants are victims of economic and political persecution and criminal threats by drug traffickers in their native lands. They have applied for protective status, and we have always taken this kind of refugee in over the decades. All undocumented immigrants have the right to be heard in immigration court. However, the system is chronically underfunded and has too few judges, so the caseload is backed up for years into the future. They are denied legal representation because there are too few lawyers employed to represent them and must often represent themselves with little knowledge of immigration law and language barriers. This violates the due process principle foundational to our country. Are they to blame for the excessive time it takes for their cases to be adjudicated? Statistics demonstrate that over 90% of people with cases show up for their immigration court dates. No one in this room wants convicted criminals running around in our communities. If an undocumented immigrant commits a felony, they should be prosecuted, convicted, do their time, and then be immediately deported. This fear of prosecution and deportation makes immigrant communities low-crime communities. Undocumented immigrants hold many jobs in the construction, restaurant, and agricultural industries. They are exploited due to their immigration status and experience low market wages and wage theft by unscrupulous employers. They are ineligible for many of the benefits of citizens, yet pay taxes like everyone else. Who will take these jobs if they are deported at the wages they have typically earned? This exploitation benefits their employers, who can reap more profits due to the substandard wages. Prices will rise in these industries because employers will have to attract citizens for these jobs with higher wages and benefits. Those employers will charge higher prices to absorb the higher labor costs. How will that curb inflation? Additionally, many families in the U.S. have mixed immigration status. Some are here illegally, some legally, and some are citizens. By selectively prosecuting those here illegally, we are tearing families apart and deporting parents while their American citizen children are left behind. This is a cruel practice and not reflective of the fair and welcoming tradition of America. Finally, the standard of citizenship in the modern world of nation-states is an accident of birth. No one born here has to earn their citizenship. It is their right by birth. The history of humankind is one of movement and migration, which allowed our species to settle the entire planet. Why do we restrict this movement in the modern era? Historically, the immigrant population has comprised 14 to 15% of the population. It is at that level today. Our ancestors migrated here when the rules were more liberal. They built and invested in one of the greatest economies on earth. Why is the current generation of immigrants being denied that same opportunity due to much stricter immigration laws? As the son and brother of clergy, I turn to the words to Jesus for the answers. From Matthew chapter 25, when God confronts those who did not follow his example. Then he will say to those on the left, "Depart from me, you who are cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me nothing to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger, and you did not invite me in. I needed clothes, and you did not clothe me. I was sick and in prison, and you did not look after me." And they also will answer, "Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty, or a stranger, or needing clothes, or sick or in prison, and did not help you?" And he will reply, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did not do for one of the least of these, you did not do for me." I urge the council to reconsider this resolution, which is nothing more than posturing and virtue signaling. It is anti-Christian, and anti-American. We are better than that.
Anyone else from the public like to say something? Mr. DeBella?
Good evening, council. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you. Joseph DeBella, 41 Lions Court. I came here tonight because my dear friend Paul Sayer is being recognized, and I want to thank you for doing that. I had the privilege of serving with Paul, and I think it's important for the totality of the record that we embarrass Paul a little bit further simply because of his contributions, and I think it's important that the community be fully aware and conscious of all that he has done. I had the privilege of meeting Paul when I first moved to Howell in 1998, and Paul helped recruit me to get involved in Howell Township. Some may blame him for that. Don't do it. All kidding aside, I had the privilege of being on the council. We needed a reliable person for a board or a commission. We called Paul first. When I was mayor, I had the privilege of asking him to serve in multiple capacities. And before you could finish the sentence of would you, he would say yes. Paul's a veteran, father, son, more recently a grandfather, and someone who, in my estimation, has embodied all that is good about Howell. And I think it's really important that people appreciate and understand the amount of time and commitment that volunteers put in, whether it is Shade Tree, whether it was the Media Advisory Board, the Zoning Board, serving in other volunteer organizations. It takes time. I also think it is important to recognize his better half, his beautiful wife, Ann, because as many of us know, you're not able to serve in capacities and volunteer without the support of your spouse. And Ann was always supportive. I would hear in the background, there goes Joe again, roping Paul into some other thing, or when Deputy Mayor Gazier would call or Councilwoman Fisher would call and ask Paul to go do something, the answer was always yes. And Ann, his beautiful wife, was always so supportive. So I'm personally grateful for being his friend. Our loss due to his retirement is his new home's gain. Two other things that struck me. I was appalled to read and see that our governor has flagrantly and obnoxiously violated the law of this land. I'm embarrassed for our state that the governor would say, I'm going to violate this immigration issue as our country is dealing with this terrible crisis. And I find it to be completely despicable. No one is above the law. Whether you are Phil Murphy or whether you're a Republican or an independent, I don't care. I think it is an embarrassment to the state of New Jersey that our governor would profess to all that he is above the law. I also encourage and implore you to pass R 2581. The issue of immigration is a complex one, and there are lots of sides to the story, and it is emotional, and it is heartbreaking. But regrettably, for the last 4 years, our country allowed an unthinkable assault on our borders that have allowed all kinds of people to enter this country that has made us less safe and that has worked to the detriment of poor working Americans who already needed our help. People in Chicago, people in New York, people in inner cities who were Americans who already needed help, who already needed health care, who already needed to be fed and cared for. And we can't do that because of the influx of people who came here illegally. Whether you agree or disagree, when you come here illegally, that means you broke the law. And I find it to be unacceptable that our state at a state level is looking the other way. And I appreciate you having the strength and the courage of your convictions to stand behind this resolution and let the people of Howell know that you're concerned for their safety and you're concerned for their well-being. So I appreciate the fact that you're letting our residents know we're not above the law. We're going to support law enforcement. We're going to do what's right. And I have a sneaky suspicion that our good friend Tony Perry, one of the leaders in this state, is going to do right in Middletown for residents that flagrantly and publicly break the law. There's no right time to break the law, and I find it embarrassing that you then attempt to brag about it. I appreciate your consideration, and I thank you all for your hard work. I also, in my 15 seconds left, I want to acknowledge Mr. Howard, who I think has one of the toughest jobs in this community. You're the person that has to uphold the law. You're the person that has to sometimes say no and be put in a very untenable position. And in any of my experiences with Mr. Howard,
Thank you. Your time has ended.
they say nothing but favorable things. Thank you for your service, Mr. Howard. Appreciate your time, governing body.
Anyone else? Please come forward, sir. Is it Glenn Cantor? Mr. Cantor?
Good evening. My name is Glenn Cantor, 8 Weasel Creek Court. Good evening, Councilman and ladies. make this real fast. First of all, I'd like to echo the compliments of Mr. Saya. He served as a mentor to me in both the Shade Tree Commission and the Zoning Board. I learned so much from him and am able to do a good job because of the example he set. And secondly, I read the referendum on Aldrich Road. I would just ask that you extend that from Aldrich Road to the Jackson border as well. I live on the other side, and the problem is just as bad there. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Hold on. Someone behind you stood up. Mrs. Rivas?
Good evening. My name's Sherry Rivas. I reside at 3 Hearth Court. The last council meeting, I completed public comment regarding right to farm, and honestly, I was extremely frustrated, and I'm sure you could see that in my speaking. I did provide questions in writing at the last meeting and asked for a response either via email or I asked the town manager if they could be prepared today to answer those questions. I will be asking those questions this evening. I did get an email that they were submitted for an OPRA request, but I'm not requesting an OPRA request. I'm asking for them to be answered after public comment. The Right to Farm Act, NJSA 4:1C, was signed into law in 1983 and updated May 3rd, 2023. It includes that it was enacted to help address conflicts among farmers, neighbors, municipalities, and counties regarding a farm's practices. Under the Right to Farm Act, a commercial farm can receive significant protection from nuisance lawsuits and overly restrictive local regulations. You must be a commercial farm for those eligibility, for those protections. What happens when there's a complaint? The Right to Farm Act requires that anyone aggrieved by the operation of a commercial farm must file a complaint with the CADB rather than filing an action in court. This applies to neighbors as well as municipality or county officials who believe a farm is violating an ordinance. After reviewing the written complaint, the CADB reviews whether the farm meets the Act's eligibility criteria. If the initial criteria are met, the CADB holds a public hearing and issues its decisions. Municipalities can also use the free agricultural mediation program to resolve their issues more quickly and amicably. My concern is that Howell Township is not following this. And why does it matter? First, it matters for farmers. Their rights are being violated. It's a huge financial impact on farmers, and we are losing farmers. They're selling their properties, which can often result in an increase in development in the town. And it's also a concern because of tax dollars. We're paying outside law firms to represent the town in cases against farmers when they should be going to the CADB. You're also opening up the town for significant lawsuits because the town is not following the law. Earlier, the township manager made a comment that now, for the case with ongoing litigation, which is now not even in appeal, it was denied for an appeal by the court. Now the town has contacted the CADB, and the CADB is saying that they're siding on the side of the town. However, I believe that you're referring to Policy 6, was enacted in 2023. And Policy 6, per the Monmouth County Agricultural Development Board, their meeting minutes on December 3rd, 2024, specifically stated that Policy 6 does not apply to the current case in Howell that's in litigation. So these are my questions. Does Howell Township recognize NJSA 4:1C, known as the Right to Farm Act, which was signed into law in 1983 and most recently updated May 3rd, 2023, as a law in which this municipality must follow? If not, under what authority does the law not apply to Howell Township? Within our current structure of government, who are the persons and their positions, including supervisory, that decide what complaints or violations on a farm warrant investigation, consult with, request mediation, and/or file a complaint with the Monmouth County Agricultural Development Board, review the investigation and determine that a cease and desist letter is appropriate, determine if Howell Township should file a lawsuit against farmers, hire and approve payment of an outside law firm to represent Howell Township in the lawsuit. Since January 1st, 2020, how many times has Howell Township completed the following actions? Contacted the MCADB by phone or in person to discuss questions or complaints prior to writing a complaint? How many farms are represented in those communications? Contacted the MCADB in writing to discuss questions or complaints prior to filing a written complaint? What are the number of farms represented on those communications? What are the number of written requests to the MCADB for mediation? For requests to determine if a farm meets eligibility for a commercial farm? And the number of written complaints to MCADB requesting a hearing or findings? How many times since January 1st, 2020, have you been investigating farmers, written cease and desist letters, and filed an action in court against farmers?
Thank you. Your time has ended.
Thank you. I'm hoping to hear those answers.
Anyone else? I'm not seeing anyone, so I'm going to make a motion to close public comment.
Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Response to public comments?
Mayor,
Yeah. Go ahead, sir.
Mayor, with regard to the last comment, the litigation that the resident referenced is on appeal before the appellate division. The appellate division hasn't rejected it. It is on appeal. And the Monmouth County Agricultural Board has instructed the township that they will not consider appeals because of Policy 6. That there's a policy of the County Agricultural Board that local farms, or if there's disputes, they have to exhaust all of the land use regulations in the municipality. And with regard to that specific case, it's not an issue with regard to farming. It's a case where there was homeschooling happening on a farm or on a property without approvals. It was not permitted in the zone, so it's not a farming issue.
And so then that's exactly what the Ag Board is saying. So they're intervening in the appeal. They're relying on Policy 6. They have found since 1999 about 25% of right to farm cases have been filed in Monmouth. And their concern is that once it's in front of the Ag Board, the amount of time that passes for the Ag Board to render a decision on it, even on a case where right to farm isn't granted, takes too long, and that it's best for these applicants to go before townships for zoning first and foremost before it gets to the Ag Board whatsoever. So that's the position I expect them to take on appeal, because that's the position they told the appellate division they're taking. So I think that's on the right to farm. With regard to Captain Pilecki's comments, so the award for Captain Rizzo, we've looked into. We'd never heard of the organization before. It's relatively new, so we wanted to see what it was all about. We have several other officers that we're looking to recognize by way of proclamation as well. We're blessed with a great police department. I mean, I see Jimmy Alexander back there tonight, so we have the best in Howell, and so we'll make sure of that. Social media presence, I'll be talking to council separately about that. Right now it's in the planning stages. I agree, our messaging can be enhanced, and we'll talk about how we can do that. Thirdly, streetlights. We just talked about that today. We have a development meeting, myself, Mr. Howard, Mr. Greenfield, Township Engineer. We just talked about lights today. We had a meeting with JCP&L last week about streetlights. They have a team dedicated to replacing the lights that are out. So we're going to be launching an initiative for people to report it to us. So if you're in your neighborhood and you see a light out, you can email it to us. Just send us all the information on the pole. There's usually a combination of letters and numbers, H followed by letters, JC followed by letters or numbers, and an address. We'll report that and we'll upstream it to JCP&L. With regard to Ms. Gimbel's statement, that's the first I'm hearing about Mr. Cucciaro's response to Sierra Club. I will find out. and we discussed Ms. Rivas, so I don't know if Mr. Howard has anything to add or anybody else.
Regarding a few of the questions from Ms. Rivas, we are still looking into them. I mean, these are somewhat vague questions. How many times has a call been placed? We can't answer that. What I could tell you is that I work very closely with the county, Monmouth County Ag Board, Monmouth County Planning Department. There's a lot of complaints that come to my office that never see the light of day because of right to farm. So of course we recognize it. We've taken great strides to try and understand all of the overlapping regulations, all the responsibilities, and every step of the way before any violation is written, I'm on the phone with the county. I'm making sure that we're on the same page. It's happened in every case. So we know we have their support. We know we're doing things by the book. In terms of some of the specific questions, written complaints and things like that, we're compiling those. It takes a bit of time to, there's no one drop down that will give us everything we're looking for. So we have to kind of look through the history, and that's part of the Oprah request where we've requested some more time to do that. And of course, anytime we're considering violations, first thing you learn when you go for code enforcement and zoning officer, you get a complaint, the last person you call is the person that is being complained about, because the problem will go away. It will be hidden, you will not get access to the property, you will not ever be able to observe what you need to do. First thing you do is conduct an investigation to try and verify the complaint. Obviously, if you could do that, then you move forward. Any complaint on a farm or any issue that is not run-of-the-mill, I'm usually looping in Township Council. So we're always doing that extra set of review to make sure that any action we take is proper. And that's happened always in the past. Everything else, we're going to try and respond through our records research.
Just a couple quick things left. So first and foremost, the question, does right to farm apply in Howell? It's fact sensitive, right? So the whole nature of deciding whether or not a farm is a commercial farm requires a fact sensitive determination. So yes, it applies. It may not apply in every situation depending on what the facts of the situation are. Secondly, I also wanted to recognize the Chair Vinos with regard to the resolution on targeted enforcement. I know he couldn't be here tonight, but I will say hello to Mr. Paul Rayberger, who's been instrumental in bringing some of the speed issues to us. Arnold Boulevard happens to be one of the streets, so maybe we'll see him again, and he'll be a little happier. And the third thing is, I'm going to echo, I said it last week, and I'm going to echo what Mayor DeBella said tonight. Mr. Howard has one of the most difficult jobs in town. He's the one telling people you can't do the things that you want. It's not well received a lot of times. It makes him an easy target for criticism. But the people who are criticizing him, I guarantee, don't have the same fortitude that he has. It's easy to go online, and it's easy to light him up, but it's much harder to be in his position and tell somebody eye to eye, you either have to get a use variance, you have to go for site plan approval, you can't just do what you want. He gets calls every day, sometimes from people on this dais, about things that aren't looking good or being done right in town, and he responds to all of them. So I support him 100%. I'm sure everybody on the dais does, and thank you again to the Mayor DeBella for coming up here and reiterating that.
One last item, just so everyone can see. I'm getting calls to my cell phone from a caller ID block number. Last time somebody did this, it was a death threat. And I've had to file police reports on this matter. I'm pretty sure that's happening right now because they're watching. So it's unacceptable, and that's all I'll say about it.
Councilwoman Fisher, anything?
I'm just going to piggyback on what Mr. Clark said before regarding recognizing Captain Rizzo. We brought it up. We're almost ready to go. We just want to perfect our presentation. And I'm very proud of our resolution that we're going to pass tonight, because we want to give our law enforcement every tool to do what's right, to follow the law and the law of the land. We are directly affected by illegal immigration in Howell. I think everybody knows that. You can't deny it. It's too bad Mr. White left already. I would have asked him how many illegals he's been hosting. They need to put their money where their mouth is. Easy to say, easy to virtue signal, and then to actually do the right thing. So I'm very proud of that resolution, and thank you, Councilman, actually, Nadell, for bringing that up.
Evelyn?
Well, I too will take the opportunity to speak to that specific resolution that's on this evening. I choose not to have it pulled out. I believe that this council, if anyone wanted to pull it out before we voted, they certainly can. But as opposed to doing that, I would like to say that when this came up several years ago about Howell Township being a sanctuary city, we voted no. And we met with some opposition from some of the people, that live in Howell. And one of the residents told me that I was heartless and, I'm not taking care of people and people are dying. And it was a sad statement. And much of this is true. People are dying all the time because things that are being done that are illegal are very difficult to tame and to get under control. I can only say that if you look at the cities that did follow this several years ago, they are begging to get out. They have definitely bitten off way more than they could chew. They have no place to put these people, which, again, I will say illegal immigrants, because people can come into this country the correct way. If you want to come in, you're seeking asylum, those tools are still available. So to become an illegal entrant, I find absurd, and I do feel that people are hiding behind this. And are bad things happening to these people? Yes. They're hungry, they have children, and I agree. I hate to see a family split up. So as a mom, if that were facing me, I would pick up my children and go back to the country that I came from, as opposed to being split up. These are all decisions people make when they do things that aren't legal, and I would assume that they think that the ramifications are worth the cause. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it. But I will say that there's still a process in place to come into the country, and I am desensitized to a degree that people just think of the dreamers or whatever phrase, whatever the title is that people choose to put on them. An illegal entrance into this country is illegal. If you do something illegal, I can't go to Canada without my passport, not going into Mexico without my passport. And I find it just so strange that people in this country are appalled that you just can't go back and forth. The law's in place, they should take advantage of it. I personally will still be supporting, we are not a sanctuary city. We certainly have more than enough to put our tax dollars to here to take care of citizens. I do not have the answer. Hopefully we are in a position in this country now where we'll be heading into a venue that has a better understanding of what can be done to protect our borders. But I still stand by my vote several years ago. I'm not heartless, I'm a realist. And illegal immigration is just that, illegal. And there are legal ways to do things. So I just can't say that enough, obviously. So I'm sorry for those people that share a different mindset. But, please consider all of the facets. When you're sitting at your kitchen table talking to your family, it's not just, one or two things. There are processes in place. And we are certainly a country that help people with the process. So I'm hopeful that the current council still has that mindset, and we shall see when we place our votes. Thank you.
Councilman Adil?
A couple things. Just one question on Ms. Gimbel's request. Is there any law that we know of that would prohibit the municipality from accepting pro bono attorney work?
I don't think there's any law that would prohibit it, but it's going to have to depend on what their position is, how it ties with our insurance. I mean, we will look into this.
And that's planning board member, just a general question as far as that.
Yeah, you guys will have to speak with Mr. Cacciaro, but it may be they may have a conflicting position that doesn't, allow us to accept that help. It's not as easy as them saying, we'll work with you pro bono. They're going to need to support the positions that we're taking. Some of what the positions they're taking may not be consistent with our zoning and planning decisions in this town. So I don't know why this is the first I'm hearing of it, so we'll find out.
But nothing outright prohibiting it on its face.
It's got to depend on
So
what
it's
the
dependent on
request
the
is.
factors.
It all
Okay.
depends on what they need. They might need information that we can't give, so we're just going to have to talk to them.
Yeah, we would, and I would suspect we would need some kind of authorizing resolution appointing them as counsel on behalf of the township if they're going to be taking positions on our behalf, so.
I know everyone else touched on the sanctuary city topic. I'm a retired New York City Police Lieutenant, worked in the 5 boroughs for my whole career. That was a sanctuary city. That was one of probably the original sanctuary cities that were out there, and on its face, they were meant as a good thing. People that are otherwise not criminals who come into police contact, you don't ask them about it. That's the crime victims, that's aided cases, people that fell off a bike. That's someone who did nothing else wrong. But the stance that these are taking right now, such as the sanctuary state policy, where a blatant prohibition from letting local law enforcement cooperate when criminals are in their custody. Howell PD locks up criminals all day, every day, and state law dictates that they cannot inform federal agencies, ICE, or anyone else on the federal level what's going on. And that's different than the honest, hardworking illegal that is otherwise a good member of our society, that the criminals now are being favored over good, hardworking, honest American citizens. So that's the main problem with what happened with these sanctuary cities and states. It was meant to protect otherwise vulnerable people, but now it's protecting hardened criminals who want to commit violence against our own citizens in this country.
Councilman Gazer?
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming. When you sit up here on the council, the amount of information that comes to you every day can be somewhat overwhelming. Whether it's information that you've observed, whether it's a phone call you've got, whether it's an email, or something you read on social media, you take a look at everything and you try to act on what you think is important. With that being said, we've recently sat down with some members of the chamber to discuss bringing new businesses into town, specifically some of these abandoned properties that are on the Route 9 corridor. So what we're looking at right now is, can we come up with some type of special designation for areas to where we can do some type of pilot programs to attract people here? I mean, we just started that about 2 weeks ago, but we are looking into it. If you hadn't noticed, where Woolley's Fish Market is, the street behind there is dangerous because it leads the traffic right directly back onto Route 9 going the wrong way. So what our DPW has done, they've installed 2 new large signs there saying "Do not enter" to prevent people from going there. Mr. Clark has touched on some of this. You know, we already know how bad the intersection of Oakland and Southern is. We've already had a study done there. That's going to be addressed with some new large signs that are going to be there. Strickland, we've directed Mr. Clark to reach out to the New Jersey Transit to talk to them about the possibility of redirecting the bus routes to see where we can go to different places where people won't be getting dropped off and walking over to the other side of the road. I also understand that our township engineer has sent a letter to New Jersey Department of Transportation with regards to the light at Strickland and the light at Aldrich to change the system that they have there to make it better for pedestrians to walk. And there are a couple of pilot programs, I think Elizabeth has one, that we're looking at. So, we've heard these things, and we're trying to act on them. The sanctuary city thing, I spent 25 years in the state police, so there's a lot of things that you don't know right now. Right now, every police officer in this state, by Attorney General directive, is licensed. That happened, that was changed a few years ago. That in itself is disgusting, because what that means is now the Attorney General has control of every police officer's job in this state. It used to be the state police handled the state police, Howell Police handled Howell Police. So the Attorney General can do anything he wants to you if you don't follow his directive, and he is doing it. So he's pretty much directed every police agency in this state to not cooperate with ICE. So what are their options? Well, they can't cooperate with them, because what the Attorney General is going to go right around and say, you violated my directive, I'm pulling your license. You don't have a job anymore. So, a lot of people don't realize that has gone on in New Jersey now, that the Attorney General has taken that initiative, and now he does have control over every police officer in New Jersey, and he holds their job over them. So, that's it. Thank you.
All right, I'd like to start off by Mr. Sayer. I should have probably set it up there, but I let all the people with more experience and more time with you speak. I've only known you about 4 or 5 years now. Maybe I've seen you in the neighborhood or coming to meetings, and you really did an unbelievable job serving this township. On every board, at every aspect, you really, I wish you were still around to take some more direction from. Okay, your experience, your dedication, and your commitment to the Howell residents, I really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much, Mr. Sayer, and good luck in the future. And if I do have any questions, I'll reach out to you in the Highlands. As far as Mr. Pilecki, streetlights, I know Mr. Clark, we're working on that. The social media presence, maybe it would be nice to bring some, more transparency back with the residents about accidents and road work, or the Howell Township site could maybe do that. I know they're working on this. As far as Mr. Rizzo, Captain Rizzo, we've all discussed it. We're gonna revisit that when we bundle it with everyone. Yep. Correct? To Mr. Friedman, I've known you a long time, and I thank you for your commitment to the chamber and everything that you guys do, trying to move forward our town with new businesses and supporting current businesses and creating new business and all that good stuff, okay? It's a lot of work. You're a full-time doctor at your practice, and it's the time that you give and your volunteers give is really amazing, okay? Thank you. Mrs. Velez, Betty Velez, obviously, we're not going to comment too much because Ian and I are on the planning board. I was one of the votes for no. So my only comment is I am hoping that Mr. Cucchiaro will defend the decision like he did for the Randolph warehouse and, some other litigation that we had. And I hope he stands firm on the 9-0 vote that we did. And we will see moving forward with our professionals about the Sierra Club. Okay? Mr. White, unfortunately, sir, I think you left. I disagree with you. I am a son of an immigrant parents, okay? And my father waited 10 years to get sworn in and become a citizen back in the 70s, doing everything the way you're supposed to. This past administration that has allowed this influx and assault on our country is, absolutely disgusting. And as a father of 2 sons, moving forward with their life and what's going to be obtainable for them and my friends' kids and jobs and just just the cost of living in this country that the illegals have burdened the taxpayers on is just unsustainable. And Howell PD, don't let anyone lie to you. ICE isn't here. I haven't heard one thing of them coming in here and removing someone from their house. And, you know, most of the mainstream media with their lies, with their moms and the kids and all that stuff, it's just not true, folks. If you're a criminal, I don't care where you're from, you should be arrested and dealt with. And if you're an illegal criminal, put on a plane and sent back to your home. So I am in support of this ordinance, 100%. And Mrs. Rivas, you know, our professionals are working with the farmers and all that, you know. I'm sorry you don't get the answers that you want, but there is complications with those answers, and Mr. Clark and Mr. Howard will address them when they feel, you know, they have your answers. And that's it as far as public comment. Next, we will move on to consent agendas. Does anyone wish to vote on any consent agenda items separately? I see a no. So may I have a motion to approve consent agenda consisting of resolutions R25-71 through R25-83?
Like a motion to accept these resolutions R25-71 through R25-83.
I'll second that. Councilwoman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gager?
Yes.
Mayor Leggio?
Yes.
Thank you. The consent resolutions pass.
Unfinished business, ordinance 0-2501. So this is the public hearing on this ordinance. 2501 is now open. If anyone wishes to comment on this ordinance, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. No one? May I have a motion to adopt?
Excuse me, a motion to close public
Sorry,
comment?
motion to close?
Motion to close public comment?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion
Motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt ordinance 2501.
Second.
Councilwoman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gager?
Yes.
Mayor Leggio?
Yes.
Thank you. The ordinance is properly adopted.
Ordinance 0-2502. May I have a motion to introduce that ordinance?
You've got to read the name of it for intro. Yep.
An ordinance of the Township of
Yeah, go.
Howell, County, sorry?
You want me to read it or you reading it?
Whatever you like.
No, you can read it.
County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing Article 4 of Chapter 223 of the Township Code entitled Canvassing and Soliciting of Real Estate.
Motion to introduce ordinance 2502.
I'll second.
Councilwoman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gager?
Yes.
Mayor Leggio?
Yes,
Thank you. The ordinance is properly introduced.
okay. Ordinance 0-2503.
An ordinance of the Township of Howell amending Chapter 139, Section 69, Facility Fees of the Township Code.
Motion,
Motion to adopt ordinance
Introduce.
025
introduce.
Introduce, I'm sorry. Motion to introduce ordinance 25-03.
Second?
Councilwoman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gager?
Yes.
Mayor Leggio?
Yes.
The ordinance is properly introduced.
Ordinance 0-25-04.
An ordinance setting forth and amending and supplementing the salary range schedule for the salaries of certain officers, employees of the Township of Howell.
I'll make a motion to introduce ordinance 25-04.
Second.
Councilwoman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gager?
Yes.
Mayor Leggio?
Yes.
Thank you. The ordinance is properly introduced.
The next regular scheduled council meeting will take place on February 18th in this room at 7 PM. 6 PM will be executive. And Seeing no further business, would the council like to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.